Hey, what's going on, Guardians? It's your boy John. Today I'm bringing you guys a turret build for the Stasis Warlock. I really enjoy running this build. I actually made a short of this for TikTok and even posted it to my YouTube channel. However, I want to make a more in-depth, detailed guide and really explain all the nuances and abilities that this build has. It has a lot of potential. You can run this in Grandmasters, raids. Let's get into the video. Getting into the loadout stats and mods, as you can see, my stats aren't really that great. I like to spec a little bit more into resilience, but I also don't mind the other stats being a little bit higher. With this build, the stats really don't matter too much, so just kind of run whatever you want. The main synergy around this build revolves around the exotic gauntlet Osmiomancy gloves, the mods Countercharged and Firepower. The Osmiomancy gloves exotic perk, Fervent Cold Snap, gives you a second charge to your Cold Snap grenade. Essentially, what this means is you get 2 stasis turrets because you have 2 grenades, thus you can charge both of them to turn them into stasis turrets. Really good perk, really good exotic. There are 2 mods that make this build come to life. The first one is Countercharge. Every time you stun a champion, you become charged with light. As you can see right here, I'm stunning that unstoppable and becoming charged with light every time. The next mod in this build is the mod Firepower, which every time you throw your grenade, if you're charged with light, you refund a portion of your grenade. This mod stacks, so if you have 3 or 4 Firepowers, you'll get more grenade energy every time you throw your grenade. Moving on to the class setup, I am running Healing Rift for survivability. Not extremely important, but just a personal preference. I like the Healing Rift. We are running Cold Snap Grenade, so we can take advantage of the Osmiomancy exotic perk, which allows us to hold 2 charges of the Cold Snap Grenade. We are of course using the Bleak Watcher turret. This is essential to the build. If you are not running this, you do not have your turrets. It's as simple as that. Use this, throw that turret out as much as you can, and keep everything frozen. The Bleak Watcher turret's awesome. I am running Ice Flare bolts with this build. I know that might seem a little weird to some of you, but as much as that turret shoots and freezes everything, I find it fantastic to run Ice Flare bolts because every time I am shattering one of those frozen enemies, the Seekers go out and track, find more targets, and help me keep everything frozen. As you'll see in this clip right here, I throw my grenade out, I get my turret going, but it's just not quite fast enough to freeze all these thrall. One melee, and then you see right there the Ice Flare bolts freeze the rest of the thrall and even spread to enemies around the corner. Whisper of Shards is fantastic just for helping you get that grenade back a little faster, and it gives you a plus 10 resilience to your stats. Whisper of Hedrons just gives me a bunch of stats. As you can see there, weapon stability, weapon aim assist, mobility, resilience, recovery. This thing's awesome. You're freezing everything, so why not run it? Whisper of Fissures is just helping me keep everything frozen. Every time you shatter a frozen enemy, the explosion is larger, thus will freeze more enemies more effectively. Whisper of Durance is fantastic because if you see in the description right there, for those abilities that linger, their duration will be increased. That means my turrets will last longer, which is fantastic. It also gives me a plus 10 to strength, which isn't bad. Moving on to the general gameplay loop. You want to become charged with light as fast as possible. However, if you need to throw a grenade first, get a turret active first, without being charged with light, you're not really hurt by that. Because you can always become charged with light, and when you go to throw your second charge, you'll get a large amount of that refunded. Oftentimes you'll get a grenade back whenever you throw your grenade, if you have charged with light and you have firepower on. The goal of this build is to freeze everything. You want to keep these grenades up, you want to keep these turrets up, you want to keep shattering enemies, like this barrier champion right here, so you can keep your Ice Flare bolts and all of your fragments up too. You want to be getting those grenades back quickly, and you want to be making them effective. You want to make good throws, you want to put them in a position where they can freeze a ton of enemies. That's where this build shines, is crowd control. Getting into a few general recommendations for you guys. I like to run a weapon with Demolitionist on it, whether this be your primary or secondary, it really doesn't matter. Just something where you can get a lot of kills with it, so you can get that grenade, those turrets back even quicker. It's not necessary, but I find that it really helps, and I really enjoyed running this in this Lost Sector gameplay that you guys are watching. Getting into some other mods that aren't necessary but are nice to have. I like to run a double bomber on my class item. That just helps you get the grenade back faster. Another mod that I like to run is the low entropy superconductor. That allows my stasis melee to stun unstoppable champions. Really nice to have. I like to have this in my back pocket just in case. I like to run a double innervation on my leg just to get the grenade back a little quicker. On my chest armor, really not that important as long as you just have a firepower. On my helmet, I like to just run an ammo finder mod and again a firepower. The Lord Kelvin's Basilic, I hope I'm saying that right, Basilic, is fantastic for stunning overload champions. As you can see in the description, stasis grenades cause disruption towards overload champions. There was no overload champions in the gameplay you guys watched in the Lost Sector I was running. However, if there are overload champions, this build is perfect because you are stunning those overload champions with your turret and becoming charged with light at the same time. Can't recommend this enough. It is fantastic. Now I know what some of you guys may be thinking. This whole build revolves around Countercharge, which is a seasonal mod which is going away when Lightfall comes out. Yes, that is true. However, there are other ways, easy ways, to become charged with light. For example, taking charge, just pick up orbs of power. Shield break charge, all you have to do is break a shield that matches your subclass type. Empowered finish, just getting a finisher helps you become charged with light. Not exactly the same as countercharge, but what I'm getting at here is you can become charged with light other ways without this one mod. And this build will still be fine if you lose a firepower. You don't need 4 firepowers, 3 is plenty to suffice. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day, like and subscribe.